Hello everyone and happy Friday. Today's video is part of a project that I have, which is to make more videos in 2021. And one of the things I wanted to do more of were videos that were updating you all about what I am currently reading, what I recently finished reading, and what I'm planning to read next. And so I thought Friday reads would be a wonderful way to kind of update you, but not keep you too long because we all know how I can talk. Before I get started, I did want to address something, and that is that I discovered that this camera I used to film had a filter on it on all of the videos that I filmed with it. And I did not know how to turn it off. I didn't even know what was going on, and I finally found a video on how to remove the filter, and I think it's worked. So I just wanted to let you know that I was not purposely trying to filter myself. I want to be as transparent as possible about everything, including what I look like, and so I just wanted to let you know that I think I've solved it, and I hope you all understand. It was just, I didn't even know it was something on my camera, which is kind of embarrassing because I love to do photography, but I have never heard of a face blur filter just naturally being installed on a camera, so very strange. But anyway, just wanted to let you know that from here on out, it shouldn't be filtered at all. The camera, I mean. So the books that I finished reading most recently I wanted to tell you about are, first of all, A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, which I feel like I need to do a whole video just talking about this because I'm still processing, but this was such a fun book to buddy read with Julia from Shakespeare and such, and I'm really glad that I finally read this. I've been trying to read it for ages and ages, and I just really, I don't know, I feel like even if it's not my new favorite book or anything, it is something that's going to have me thinking about it for a very long time. And I loved the main character, Francie. I thought she was fantastic. And I really liked the ideas of education that were in this, and also a lot of the conversations and family dynamics were very interesting to me. So I'm very pleased to have finished this. I finished this yesterday, which is difficult to believe because I feel like I have been, so immersed in this world that it's difficult to tear myself away, but yes, finished this one yesterday. The next thing I finished is something that I started last summer, and I finally just sat down and finished it, and that is Hamlet. And if you have watched my previous videos, you will know that I started that like so long ago, but every time I went back in to finish it, I was just like, oh my goodness, I don't know what it was about it. It was just dragging me down and it was so depressing. But I finally did it. I finally finished it and it was very rewarding. I think it has some really excellent writing in it, but that's not a revolutionary takeaway by any means because it's Shakespeare. But I'm very proud of myself, and that means I have only 3 more of Shakespeare's plays that I need to read this year to fulfill my goal, but I'm hoping to read even more, and my next read I think is going to be Cymbeline of the Shakespeare plays because that's one of my dad's favorites, but we shall see. Very happy I finished Hamlet though. So on to currently reading. I am reading Madame Will You Talk, which I am behind on my buddy reading with Kara, but that is for 2 different reasons. The first reason is because I got distracted by this because I have never read it before. And the second reason is that I have read this one before twice, and so I was not as immersed in this as perhaps Kara was because I kind of knew, well, I really did know what was going to happen next, but I am enjoying reading this. It's a super quick read, so I'm actually hoping to finish it over the weekend if possible. We'll see how much homework I have to do. But I'm excited to be back in Mary Stuart's world. I have enjoyed everything I've read of hers, and it makes me want to pick up a new book by her that I haven't read before. And this is a sort of romantic suspense book for those of you who are not familiar, and it takes place in the late 1950s, I believe. Yes, 1955 is the copyright. Because it takes place in France, I have been enjoying the scenery, and the descriptions, I will say, are a little bit long, so maybe if you're not into long descriptions, just be aware of that, but there aren't too many, so don't be scared off of Mary Stuart. But I am trying to decide which Mary Stuart book I want to read next. These are just so much fun, and I need some lighthearted reading right now. I mean, who doesn't? So this will be something I'm going to focus on for sure. The next book I have here that I'm currently reading is one I discussed in my reading goals video, and that is The Silmarillion. And I have made very little progress, as you can see, but that's because it is a very slow read along that I'm participating in with Tea with Tolkien. You can find her website and her Twitter linked below if you're interested in joining the Silmarillion read along, because it's going to last till I think it's May, so you have plenty of time to catch up. This so far has been really interesting to read to me. It's like reading a very, very ancient text about a kind of a world origin story so far, so it's really quite interesting to me. Definitely a lot harder to read than The Lord of the Rings, just because the plot is not the same kind of level of engaging as The Lord of the Rings, in my opinion. But that being said, I think this is going to be well worth the read, and I find Tolkien's writing is very enchanting, very mesmerizing to read, and it's very interesting. How many times can I say interesting? But it is that for sure. And so I'll definitely keep you all posted on my thoughts. And one of the things I love is there's a map in this book, and Tolkien, all of his illustrations that he includes in his books, I just think are so fun. In particular, this map I really enjoyed for this book, but I cannot find it now. It was so easy for me to find earlier today when I was looking through the book. And here we go. I just love when books have maps included, and so it's really fun. I also have kind of a weird conflict going on here because this is my Obi-Wan Kenobi bookmark that I have. My little brother used to use this back in the day, like 2002 is when it was from, but he said I could have it. He didn't want it anymore, so I love Obi-Wan Kenobi, so I thought I would just use that. The next book I'm currently reading is War and Peace, as I mentioned also in my 2021 reading goals. I have made this much progress, which is not very much, but it's only the end of January, so I can continue to work, right? It's gonna take some work to get through this one, but I am loving this so far. As I said before, I really just love the social sort of aspect of it, reading about society during this time in Russia. And I think so far my two favorite characters are Pierre and Natasha. And if I remember correctly, Audrey Hepburn played Natasha in the film of War and Peace from like the 1960s, I believe. And then Pierre is played by one of my favorite singers, Josh Groban, in Natasha, Pierre, and the Great Comet of 1812, which is what, you know, is based on War and Peace. I just really am enjoying this so far, and I'm looking forward to reading more by Leo Tolstoy soon, and it has to all be sort of easier to read after this, right? Because I'll be used to his writing. So that's the hope anyway. The next book that I am currently reading is one that I haven't mentioned before on my channel, and I was going to try to show you the picture of it, but it's on my Kindle and my Kindle's not really cooperating, but here's my Kindle. I got it for Christmas and I love it. But I am reading from my library a copy of Brian Selznick's Wonderstruck. Now, Hugo by Brian Selznick is one of my favorite books. I love the film. It's just a delight. So I thought, you know what? It's about time I read Wonderstruck. And so far I am enjoying it, but I will say, for me personally, thus far, and I'm about 60% through, I will say that I do prefer Hugo, but I haven't finished it, so I can't say for sure. Wonderstruck tells the story of a young boy who has recently lost his mother, and he is coming to terms with that, so it has to do with that, him trying to find his lost father, and all of these different elements kind of playing into another storyline that happens at a different time period with a young girl whose mother is a famous actress. So it's a very interesting story with two intertwined plots at two different time periods, and I just love the illustrations that Brian Selznick does, so that's one of the main reasons I wanted to read it. But thus far I'm enjoying it a lot, but like I said, I think I'm gonna like Hugo better, but we shall see. The next book that I'm currently reading is called The In-Between Place by Kat Armstrong. This is a Christian book, and it is talking about how to kind of handle being in a place that feels like you're in between one thing and the next thing, or if you're feeling stuck. And I feel like pretty much everyone right now feels that way, maybe some of us more so than others, but so far I have found it to be very insightful. I'm only about a fifth of the way through, but I am really enjoying it so far, and it has given some helpful ideas about how to approach kind of this phase of life that you might be feeling like you're in, and also kind of drawing closer to God in those difficult situations. And so I would recommend it so far, but I will definitely let you know what I think of it later on. The last book I'm going to mention is what I'm planning to read very soon. And in fact, I've actually made a reading schedule for myself so I can hold myself accountable and kind of space it out and make sure I finish it on time. And that is this book here, which I have a bookmark sticking out of. And it is East of Eden by John Steinbeck. I somehow have never read anything by John Steinbeck before. I have meant to for years and years and years, and it just has not happened. This is the one that I have been most interested in reading though, and that is because my dad has recommended it to me multiple times, and I also am just interested in the parallels between this and obviously the story of Genesis, particularly of Adam and Eve and the Garden of Eden. And this is kind of one of his longest books, I think, and I think it's probably going to take a lot of stamina to get through it in the span of time I'm hoping to, but I have determined that I'm going to do this. And so I'm planning to read this in February because the Past It Classics book club is going to be reading it, and I want to join their live show and watch and just kind of comment along with it. And the reason I want to read this is so that I can actually engage in the chat and talk with all the people hosting it, which, by the way, that is hosted by 3 awesome people I talk about all the time on my channel, which is going to include Kara from Wild Book Garden, Julia from Shakespeare and Such, who I buddy read this with, and I buddy read the Madam Will You Talk, or am buddy reading it with Kara. And the last person who's hosting it with them also is Taylor from Page Screen Taylor. So please check that out. They have some awesome discussions already posted. But the reason I'm trying to read through it is for that. And it's just kind of a good way to motivate myself to read this one. And I can definitely tell you I'm planning to watch the movie with my favorite James Dean in it as soon as I'm finished with it. So that's another excellent motivator. All right, that's all I'm reading right now, and I do want to catch up with you all and find out what you're reading. So feel free to comment below, let me know what you're reading, what you're planning to read, or what you finished recently, and I will just look forward to talking with you in the comments and recording a video soon. Like I said in my last video, I will be hosting some read-alongs in the near future, so if you're interested, please keep an eye on my channel. And then also, I was going to say I am going to be posting a review soon of Wives and Daughters, which I am going to be outlining and planning, which is why I haven't filmed it yet. But please stay tuned for that because I have a feeling it's going to be a good conversation starter because it's one of my new favorite books. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful weekend and week to come, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!